So I first joined in the playing war games when I was 11 years old in Houston, Texas. Was living there, going to school. Had a friend of mine from I think it was fifth grade who said, "Hey, I got this great game. It's got men and tanks and planes in it." And I thought, "Oh, it's just those stand-up army men." Went over to his house and it was Panzer Blitz, which was a major seller from Avalon Hill in the 1970s. Fantastic tactical tank game from the Eastern Front. So cut my teeth on that, but realized very quickly I could make my own games. You didn't need to have your $6 and go down to the local hobby store and buy them. You could make your own. And so from a very early age, as a teenager, I would design my own games. I designed one on the Philippines, a hypothetical U.S. Stopping of communism there, from the Cold War. Then I realized very quickly that game playing also had a love for history. I wanted to learn more and more about what was being done in the events that I was recreating in cardboard, and jumped right into military history as an idea of study for me. So went to school at Brigham Young University, studied history, poli-sci, double major, international relations, finished all that up. Wasn't finished, went to Georgetown University and earned a master's degree in national security studies. During that whole time, I'm in the background designing games and showing to my friends. Never had anything published. Except for while I was at BYU, I did have my first article published in a magazine for Military History Magazine. And that began a series of writing and designing, complementing back and forth. And I've been published in the Avalon Hill General, C3I Magazine, a number of others, including some Navy periodicals, Navy Institute Proceedings, and others. While I was at Georgetown, I had the good fortune of meeting a friend of mine named Ed Beach, who was the designer of the great campaigns of the Civil War. He continued that series after Joe Balkowski designed the first couple of volumes. Ed and I did some design work together, and he asked me to design some scenarios. I think I designed about a half a dozen scenarios for that series, and those were published either in the General or other succeeding magazines or in some of the games, including the Battle of Brandy Station, which was the largest cavalry battle of the Civil War. It's a very, very fun, quick-playing scenario. So the stamp that I like to place on board game design is trying to portray events as realistically as possible. And it's important that when you do this, especially in an asymmetric game like Labyrinth, that there doesn't need to be perfect symmetry where you have 40 cards of this, 40 of that, and 40 of that to make your 120. Instead, you can have a variety of different cards. One side might actually have more cards in it than the other. As long as it's, when you're finished with the final product, it's still balanced for both players, have an equal chance of victory.